Hey guys, and welcome back to Brexit. Brexit England, Northern Ireland and Eastern Europe. And in Brexit Britain, we start in Northern Ireland. They couldn't agree on the power sharing, so we have to have another election in Northern Ireland before Christmas. And one asks, whose fault could this be? I mean, what's happened over there that they need an election, their second election this year? I mean, because they've got a power sharing agreement, but you see, there's a problem because the DUP aren't the largest party in Stormont anymore, right? And they say, well, whose fault is that? They have to look in the mirror and then they find out exactly whose fault that is because they've acted like a bunch of idiots. The stupidity, right, the DUP have shown, right, is just ridiculous. So now the Sinn Féin, the Alliance, and the DUP, right, obviously they won't enter into a power sharing agreement, right, and the DUP obviously are blaming the Irish Protocol. Right, even though before when they first had the protocol there was really much behind it, but now they're blaming the Irish Protocol. Say, well, do you remember when Boris Johnson went to their conference and he lied to them? Well, they swallowed it all up. Right, the other side was saying, listen, he's lying to you. Everything he's telling you is a lie, and the DUP was like, oh no, we want to listen to leprechauns. And you know that leprechauns are little bastards, right? And you know they always lead you down the wrong path. And now the DUP, right, have forced another election, right? And they really need to mind out because the DUP can end up losing out really badly. Because I mean, a lot of people in Ireland can look and see what's going on. And I mean, if you are a neutral, say you could have voted for, say like you're one of the people who could have literally voted for any of the three. I don't know how much people there are in Ireland like that, but there must be some who could have voted, who could vote for like Sinn Féin, maybe the DUP or the Alliance. You'll find that most of them are Alliance voters anyway, right? But any DUP voters who could swing, right? This will make them swing over to like the Alliance or to Sinn Féin. If I mean, probably not Sinn Féin, probably the Alliance, right? But the Alliance are making ground. They'll be taking numbers off of Sinn Féin as well, but they'll be taking much more off of the DUP, hence why the DUP, are not the largest party over there anymore. Right? And the only people, right, the DUP, right, the stupidity that these people have absolutely shown, right, just absolute, you just have to look at these people and say, you know what, look in the mirror and say to yourself, we do not understand politics. Because now they've forced an election. Forced, right, because, they're blaming the Irish Protocol for it, right, but the real truth is, right, because they're not the largest party anymore, right, they're throwing their toys out of the pram. And the thing is, when you throw toys out of a pram, right, if mummy or daddy don't stop and pick that toy up, you've lost that toy forever. You'll never see that toy again. Yeah, that toy will be on the high street, right, or you might have been in Margate, right, on a day trip, Southend. You could have gone to see the London Eye. You dropped that toy, you ain't seen that shit again. And I think the DUP, I have a feeling that they're out of being the largest party in Northern Ireland for good. And I think because of the insanity that these people have shown, especially when it comes down to Brexit and how they allowed Boris Johnson to make complete asses of them. Because that's what Boris Johnson done. Boris Johnson just went there and he just lied and he made complete arseholes out of each and every one of them. Right? And now, right, they're really suffering for it. Right? Because they've got to have another election in Northern Ireland. And I'm sure that's not what the people of Northern Ireland was really looking forward to. No one wants an election before Christmas. I know we had one in 2019 one. Yeah, I know we had one, just before Christmas. But it's not a nice time to have to go out and vote in all that darkness. Right? So, I have a feeling that the DUP, right, are going to lose out real big time. You know, because I think they're pushing it. They're pushing it much too far, and I think that people can see. You know what? This is your mistake. You've done this to yourself, right? And you know, doing it to yourself, right, is doing it to the people of Northern Ireland. So the people of Northern Ireland should really show them. You know something? Yeah, you are no longer worthy of our vote. And welcome back to By Any Means Necessary. Thank you so much for all your messages sent me, and a special thanks to everybody who signed up to my channel. I feel so blessed with so much people that signed up, so thank you so much for that. I'll go for all your messages, I'll answer as many as I can, but I will like all your messages for definite. And it seems that Elon Musk has used Africa's money to finish his purchase of Twitter. I don't know what the hell he's thinking, but then, you know, I mean, the money what he's paid for Twitter is just like, you know, he's paid some unbelievable cash. I mean, you know, obviously it's in the billions, but as I said, it is money that's like straight out of Africa, you know, stolen from Africa, you know. So it's just how a lot of these people roll. And Donald Trump is complaining about Bob Woodward, because Bob Woodward like done some video interviews with him, and he's been putting him out obviously with Donald Trump's real voice on him, and you know Donald Trump is saying some really fucked up stuff, and Donald Trump is really pissed about it. I mean, he's going, you know, he's like this, you know, and you think to yourself, hold on a minute, so you done videos, right? And you're now complaining about it. You've done them with the man, right, who took down Nixon with videotape, with well, it was recordings at that time, with recordings. And then you went and done recordings with him, and then you're complaining about your own words. It's really strange, isn't it? How some people, right, you play their own words back to them, right, and they complain about it. You think, hold on a minute, but you said that. You know, never say anything, right, you know, that can get out into the public, right, that you wouldn't want someone to hear in public. Well, Donald Trump hasn't got the sense to know that anyway, because Donald Trump is a damn idiot, just like Kanye goddamn West, right, or Ye, or Yee, or whatever the hell he's calling himself this week, right. But one thing I do know, right, is he was shown the door at Skechers. He turned up there with a video crew, right, to turn up at Skechers, obviously to try and, you know, to get Skechers to make up his Yeezy range. But Skechers was founded by a Jewish guy. You see, I think that Kanye West, right, someone needs to take him aside and say, listen, you need to get yourself out of this shit right now, and you need to go and put yourself in a mental institution, right, for a good few months, right, and when you come out, you need to say to people, listen, I was having an episode for the last year, right, you know, I'd say, you know, I wasn't taking my meds, I was having an episode, and you say, and then blame the people, say, couldn't you see that, couldn't you see I was having an episode? You really think that I think that slavery was a choice? Come on, man. And you really think that I'm going to go DEFCON for... And you see, Kanye, you know something, right? Kanye West, right, is an artist, right? And like, you know, he's a rapper, right? And you know, MCs and rappers, we use words. And when you use words, you've got to get your bloody words right, right? You know, Kanye, it's not DEFCON 3, it's DEFCON 3. Yeah, not DEFCON 3, right? But that's what he, you know, so he couldn't, you know, that's the only thing I could think that for him to come back to any type of reality, because right now, yeah, you know, if he's going up to other, you know, trying to approach other companies to make his sportswear, right, after Adidas has just said, you know what, we're done with you, then I don't really think he's going to get anyone. I mean, he's not going to get anyone really decent. That's the thing. I mean, you know, he already had, like, you know, one of the world's biggest sportswear brands. I mean, you can't get no bigger than Adidas. Right? You cannot get no bigger than Adidas. You know what I mean? You know, they're on par with like your Reebok, and you know, well, it's really them. You know, it's really them too. Right, that are your, you know, that are, I would say, are your biggest in the world, especially like, you know, for everyday footwear trainers, right? I'd say it's, you know, it's got to be between them two who are the world's biggest, right? So you know, I don't see how he can find anybody else, right? I don't know if Reebok would take him on, but I doubt it very much because right now he's toxic, But he was unceremoniously asked to leave and then removed, right, from Skechers HQ. Ron DeSantis has claimed that the USA was not built on stolen land. You know something, right? You don't know where to go with people like Ron DeSantis. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously he's into this critical race theory and nonsense. Do you know what I mean? Teach children that that slave masters, they was really helpful to black people. This is what they want to teach children. But you say, well, because I look at this, well, all the Confederate statues you don't want ripped down. Well, are you going to tell the children? Are you going to say to the children, "Oh yeah, these all of these, the Confederacy was they was fighting on behalf of black people." For him to turn around and think that he, right, can, I mean, they've made movies, right, about their genocide. They're called westerns. They made movies about their genocide. So what's he going to say about all of that? What's he going to say? Oh, well, we was here and then the Indians just started to attack us. The Native Americans just started to attack us for no reason. We was here. They was the settlers. But the thing is, right? He's saying this, right, in open forums. He was on an interview, and it must be. I think he was in a debate, and he's saying this, and you think, but every single person, right, that's in that room, right, unless they're an ignorant twat, right, every single person, right, should be saying, hold on, come on, you've gone a bit far now, right? We annihilated the Indians. We committed a genocide on the Native Americans. That's what we done, right? So I don't see how you can't just accept that, right? You wiped out all of the Red Indian tribes. You wiped them all out, right? There's only a few left, just scattered about, but you wiped them all out. Speaking, do you know I just found out about Australia, right? Do you know that an Aborigine cannot be the Prime Minister or the President? I think it's Prime Minister. They've got it. Cannot be the head of state in Australia, and that's head of state. No, because the head of state in America is King Charles, so there must be the Prime Minister. So a native, right? So a native Australian cannot be the head of state. Cannot be the Prime Minister in Australia. That, right, is what you call oppression, right? Because their head of state, right, is our head of state, right? But, right, someone, right, who's native from that country, because that would be an Aborigine, they cannot. That's just when I found that out, I thought that's just really disgusting. Some of them, sometimes you hear some really disgusting stuff. That's one of them, because that's colonialism still. That's exactly what that is. It's savage, really, isn't it? I don't know if you saw the stabbing in Spain yesterday. I think one person murdered, but one of the Arsenal footballers, Pablo something, I think his name is, one of the Arsenal footballers was also stabbed, and he's having surgery today, But I think this was in a shopping centre or in a shop in Spain. Someone's running there and just stabbed up a whole heap of people. Do you know what I mean? And I think the police have got the person. So obviously they're going to be facing trial for that. You know what I mean? But that's just right. Really, this type of shit can just happen anywhere in the world, doesn't it? But again, right? Guns and things like that are a lot easier to get in Spain as well. So so it's I suppose it's more of a blessing that this wasn't someone who actually went and got themselves a gun to go and try and commit mass murder. And the Prince of Wales, so that will be William, right, will not be attending the World Cup finals because Qatar is not nice to people, to the LBT, to that community. Listen, there's so many different letters there, so I'm just going to LBGQT plus community. That's what you get for trying to be woke. So he's not going to the World Cup because, you know, he doesn't like the treatment of what the people of Qatar, how they treat gay people, and obviously, you know, they have some real issues with human rights. But it's okay to sell Saudi weapons so that they can bomb the hell out of the Ukraine. These people, seriously, you know something, yeah? These people have the morals of an alley cat, right? And they have no morals. An alley cat has none at all, because they're boys. You know, alley cats are generally boys, and they've got none, not one piece. There's some angry little motherfuckers. James Cleverly says he will attend the World Cup if he's got the chance. Because James Cleverly needs to feel important, right? And James, you know, not so James Cleverly, right? He was on the radio the other morning, and he said something controversial. I mean, about gay people being in Qatar. He said something, I can't remember exactly what it was, but he said something, you know, James, he's not so cleverly, so, you know, it was something really stupid because it was going on about it for at least a day and a half. So it must have been quite ridiculous, whatever it was he said. So he will be attending. Rishi Sunak will not be attending COP27. Hold on. So what? This is now. This, you know what? I'm having difficulty working this out. So is it right that football is more important than the environment? A football match is more important than the environment? I mean, last year we was the chair. I think we was the chair of COP26. But this year we're like, you know what? We're not too important in it, so we're not going. But I think Biden's going and Macron's going. I don't think the guy from China's going, and obviously Vladimir Putin won't be going, because if Vladimir Putin decided he was going to step outside of Russia, outside of Russian airspace, right, there's a good chance, yeah, that his ass could be arrested. So so the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, the stick insect, right, will not be right. And, you know, he's been making some real fuck ups. You know, he's really been making some real fuck ups, right? Especially when it comes down to Suella Braverman, because it seems that Rishi Sunak, right, either he didn't do his homework, right, or we've got, right, a brown version of Boris Johnson, and that's what it's looking like, because this whole thing just looks like it's a real stitch up. But you know, no one hasn't got back to, actually this could be, right, a setup from where, you know, from when she sent the emails, right, from her phone, right, when she said, oh no, I was out on a police raid, right, at the time, and my phone wasn't even with me. They said, well, actually they've time checked the emails, and they were sent out a couple of hours after you went out on that police raid. And you know, then you know, this woman's got the name of Leaky Sue, because, you know, the security services have said, listen, we can't be trusting this, we can't trust her, right? You know, they're giving her lessons on security. She's the Home Secretary, right? So imagine now, right, if the chief police officer in charge of terrorism, right, needed lessons, right, on, because remember, she's in charge of him. She's in charge of all of them. Right, when it comes down to it, the Home Secretary is in charge of all of them. all of the secret services and like the public services when it comes down to law enforcement. She's in charge of all of them, right? And she doesn't know her brief. She has no clue what her brief is. The only thing she knows, right, is that, you know something, right? I can go in there and I can be evil to people. That's what she knows about that job. She has no clue what she's doing in that job, right? And you know, now you've got like Jake Berry, who's just come out and said no, she's lying. Right. In fact, right, she didn't come clean. So the Prime Minister must have known that she wasn't the one who come clean. She was grassed up, right? Because she managed to send the email, right? You know, she was sending it to one person, but she managed to paste in somebody else, right, and send it to another MP's aide, and that MP's aide said, "Listen, you know what? I shouldn't have these secretive documents," and that MP just grasped her up and said, "Listen, this is what she's done," right? But she, you know, she was confronted with the evidence, right? She never went and said, "Oh, you know what? I've messed up. I've sent some emails wrong, you know, from the wrong server." She never done that. And that's what Rishi Sunak has said, that she went and owned up. So now Rishi Sunak's put himself in the position now where they can say, well, did you mislead Parliament here? So he's already got inquiries. He's already got at least 2 inquiries opened up into him so far, right? And I'm telling you something, right? If you think, right, that you're going to start seeing things now that you wouldn't believe that politicians will do to each other. That's what you're going to start seeing, because, you know, there's a difference now, right? And this is a brown guy in charge, right? And he is going to really start to get it. He's going to get it. He's going to start getting it from all quarters, especially from a lot of the people who are sat behind him. So, you know, so as I said, Jake Berry said, yeah, she broke the ministerial code on several different occasions, right? And it's not, she went up and she said, you know what, yeah, listen, I've done this, and put her hands up to it. No, she didn't do that. No, she didn't do that. She was found out, and that's what's happened. The government is paying over £5 million, between £5 and £7 million a day, yeah, to house migrants, right? You know, the guys that are coming over on the boats, on the dinghies and that. And you say, how the hell did they get themselves into that position? Because, you know, I can remember, right, you know, earlier this year where they had like tons of beetroot, right, in a field, right, going rotten. And they did go rotten, because obviously there was no one to deal with them. But yet for all these people are paying £5 million a day. And, you know, you have to wonder, that farmer that had that, right, does that farmer have accommodation? Because they probably have got accommodation for their workers for the few months that they need them there. So it would have been easier for them to say, you know what you're going to do, yeah, while we're processing, right, they could have got all these people to say, listen, if we've got some work, if you could do that type of work, you want to go and do that back-breaking work that, you know, that British people don't want to do. So if you can do that work for us, we will be, we will process your paperwork in the meanwhile. But no, because, you know, 2 or 3 years ago, Priti Patel said, you know what, stop processing them, right? Let it all build up, because then that way we can put out in the media, oh, look at us, we've got to pay £5 million a day or £7 million a day, right, to house these people, you know. And this is all because of these lefty snowflakes, no good people like the Labour and, you know, and the Green Party. You know, it's just a setup from the beginning. It's, you know, it's the biggest setup from the beginning, right? You know, it's like, you know what, it's the same as, don't build houses, right? You know, make sure the house prices are really, really high, right? And then, right, actively look like you're giving houses to asylum seekers. What's that going to do? It's going to want, even though, yeah, they're in power. They've got the power to build council houses, right? You know, they've got the power, right, to have processed these people, right, and not be spending £7 million a day housing them. They've got the power to do all these things. They've been in power, but they're purposely not doing it so that they can make sure, you know what? Yeah, because we know that this winds up the people who we need to wind up. It's not going to wind me up. But they know who it winds up. They know it winds up your people who are actively supporting Nigel Farage. They know this shit winds them up, right? And that's why they do it. And then what do the stupid ass racist motherfucking idiots do? They vote for them. They continue to vote for them, even though, right, these people have allowed big business to kick the shit out of you. Right? You know, we're paying more than double for our fuel what they pay in America, which puts everything in this country sky high, makes everything high, right? Because the shops and the warehouses, they've got to pay diesel for their trucks, and they're paying the same price as we're paying, so it's killing them. So of course they're going to be. Of course, all these prices have got to be high, right? You've got You've got Shell just talking about, oh, something, we're swimming in money. You say, how are you swimming in money? Why don't you just lower your prices? Oh no, can't do that. Right, just laughing at us. Right, they've sold off all of our utilities, and these people in this country still vote for them. You have Stockholm syndrome. That's what it is. Right, you like to be beaten. Right? I don't know why, but the people in this country like to be beaten and battered. Right? Look at the choice that you had in the last election. Right? You had the man who said, you know what? Yeah, we're going to build train lines. We're going to rebuild. We're going to level up. And you had Jeremy Corbyn saying, you know what? I'm going to, we're going to redistribute some wealth. Right? I'm going to build council houses. Right, all of the things that the country needs, and this country was like, no. We're gonna go with the guys telling us he's gonna build the train. When the man said, when Jeremy Corbyn saying, we'll get a lot of more rural bus services going, which you can start in 2 minutes, right? To open train lines and all that. You know how much shit that takes, right? Even to open up old stations. Right, you know how much shit that takes, right? It takes years and years, right? And now those same rural communities, what are they like now? Have they got any train lines? No. They got bus services? No. Still fucked. But they decided, you know what? We're going to vote for the people who have been fucking us over all this time. We're still going to vote for those people, and you're complaining, right, when you can't heat your homes. Right, when you've got to go to a fucking food bank, or you've got to go down to the local library to keep warm. Complaining about it. Right? And racism has got you here for being a bunch of stupid, xenophobic idiots. That's what's got you here in the first place. And people are complaining. And then the nurses and the hospital staff, like porters and cleaners and all these people, are thinking of going on strike. Because the nurses, they say, well, on the latest payoff of what the nurses got from the government, it was an extra 72p an hour. So they have to work 10 hours. That's an extra £7.20. And I said to the nurses, well, what are you going to do with that money? What are you going to do with that? Because me, you know what I'd do? I'd go down to the local sweet shop, and I'd buy 5 big bags of Swizzles, right? The yellow packet, I'd buy 3 yellow and 2 of the pink packet, right? And then, because now I've got £2.20 left, right? So then, I'm gonna have myself 22 chomp bars, because that, right, is what they think these people are. A bunch of chomps. So you know what? I'll go buy 22 chomp bars. 72 pence an hour. Right? Liz Truss, right, does a bad job for how long? Right? And this motherfucking hoe gets 115 motherfucking grand a year. And you vote for this shit. You actively vote for this shit. It's not just her though. It's, Boris Johnson. Obviously, Boris Johnson must be onto that as well. Do you know something? Yeah. One of my greatest moments, right? What comes the other day, right? Obviously, as Rishi Sunak, our new Prime Minister of Colour, I've gone well over on this video already, and I've still got a good few stories to go, and I'm already 9 minutes over, right? But was seeing Rishi Sunak, right, looking like a Hindu in Downing Street, right, surrounded by Hindus and Sikhs in Downing Street, right? You don't know how much that has pissed off the far right. Oh my God, the same far right, yeah, who voted for them, the same far right. Who voted for them? You don't know. I don't know if you saw the pictures on the front, because but you had the flower thing. You had the flower thing around his neck, and he was because obviously it's Diwali, and that's got to be my favourite picture of the year. Because I know when I looked at that, I was like, oh my, and I said the full thing. I didn't say OMG. I said the full thing. I said, oh my God. When I saw that, because I know, right? You see, I'll guarantee you, yeah, Nigel Farage the inside of Nigel Farage's mouth must be bitten to pieces, because he must have been biting that tongue. He must have been biting his tongue like nobody's business, because he must be pissed. You know what? He, right, Rishi Sunak, a bloody Asian, right, has become Prime Minister, and he couldn't even be an MP. Must be really pissed for Nigel. Britain, this is some Brexit stories really. Britain is short of vets and kitten vaccine. So if you get a new kitten, right, there might be a few months before they have the kitten vaccine because of Brexit. And you know, a lot of our vets before used to come from Spain and from Greece. There was an unusual amount of vets over here from Spain and Greece. that is the truth. But you know, obviously they don't come no more because Britain is a racist cesspit of a country. So no one wants to come here and work, especially professionals. And we have made it much more difficult by shouting at them for the last however many years and telling them we don't want them here. And then they've decided, actually, we're not coming. So now we're short of vets and kitten vaccine. A record number of shop staff are being assaulted, and this is due to the cost of living crisis. Obviously, like, you know, cost of living crisis and Brexit, isn't it? Really, you know, because Brexit is the cost of living crisis. Car manufacturing in Britain has collapsed. Do you remember the whole just-in-time thing when we were screaming out, listen, you know, you're gonna ruin the whole just-in-time market. It's going to be destroyed if you go through with Brexit. And they were saying, oh, it's all project fair, it's all a load of rubbish. Now car manufacturing has completely collapsed. I mean, they've gone from, I know they went from making like something like 1.7 million to 800,000, and I think in the last load of new cars, I think that's something like 63,000, which obviously is just ridiculous numbers. But because remember, a lot of companies, they get a new vehicle every 2 or 3 years. So you got so with all the people plus the companies, used to be like you know that would have gone into a lot, into a good few hundred thousand. But now 63,000, I think the last numbers I heard. So that's what Brexit has done to this country. It has destroyed, yeah, UK car manufacturing. Obviously, we didn't have no manufacturers over here that was British anyway, apart from Morgan. But it might not be practical to drive around in one of them, you know, to go and do your shopping on a rainy day, because they come with no roof. And you know something, when you put a tarpaulin on a car like that, right, and obviously there's no frame to put. So you just have to scooch and just hold the tarpaulin over yourself. Rishi Sunak is believed to be taking an axe to the removal of the EU laws. So he's halting that 2,500 EU laws that Jacob Rees-Mogg was trying to scrap. And Rishi Sunak said, But a lot of people are saying, listen, it would be catastrophic for this country if you do that anyway, because you got to remember, yeah, that one of our biggest markets is trying to get stuff into the EU, and if our goods aren't up to their standards, then they ain't going to the EU anyway. So you know, so Britain would have to abide by whatever rules the EU throw down anyway, whether they're in or out. But because they're out, right, it makes us look like a rule taker instead of being up there sat around the main table as a rule maker. But because there's too many people in this country born with the racist gene in their forehead, We are now rule takers. See? Never be the taker. Always be the giver. I'm the taker. 1 in 5 businesses are no longer able to trade with the EU. That's the ones who are still trying to struggle to trade with the EU, because you know a lot of them have just given up the ghost a long time ago. So right now, out of the business who are still trying the hardest to fingernails, but it's not working. Aer Lingus has dropped London and Belfast routes due to Brexit. Blinking. Right? How dare they? London. How dare we voted Remain, and we've been pulled into this bullshit. Anyway, guys, look, I have to bow out of here because I am 15 minutes over that I should have been over, but I did not do a video yesterday, and today is Friday, so I have to bid you all have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you next week. My friends, this is By Any Means Necessary. I'm the MC John Ribs. It was really nice to speak to you guys. Comments below.